Hey everyone, RJ here with CV Tech, and today I'm going to do a speed test comparison between the ZTE Blade ZMax and the ZTE ZMax 1. Now the main reason for doing this speed test is because this phone here, the ZMax 1, runs the 1.1 gigahertz 210 processor, which is quad core, and has 2 gigabytes of RAM. Now the Blade ZMax is running the 1.4 octa-core 435, also with 2 gigabytes of RAM. So I want to just do this test here to see how much faster a 1.4 octa-core 435 with the same RAM is against the 1.1 quad-core 210 with the same amount of RAM. So let's go ahead and get into this. Now, looking here on the Geekbench 4 score, the Blade ZMax got a score of 678 single core score and 2633 multi-core score, while the ZMax 1 got a 438 single core score with 1198 multi-core score. So quite a bit of difference there between the 1.4 octa-core and the 1.1 quad-core. So let's go ahead and check out Antutu. And you'll see that almost double the score here on the ZTE Blade ZMax with 58,920 and 30,714 on the ZMax 1. So let's go ahead and make sure that everything is cleared out on both devices. And we'll go over here to the testing screen and we'll get started in with this comparison. Now, you know, like I said, I'm basically doing this test here just to see how much more powerful this phone here is, according to this phone right here being a 210, and how outdated it is versus the octa-core 435. So let's see how it does, and we'll get starting now. Blade ZMax, of course, calculator, calendar, clock, Google Plus. Okay, Blade ZMax, of course. Go into camera. Pretty close there. So this phone here is holding up pretty good so far. Let's go into Amazon. Now, of course, there's the Blade ZMax, and lagging behind there is the ZMax 1. Let's go into Instagram. Blade ZMax, Play Store. Blade ZMax. Let's go into settings. Pretty close. Snapchat. Blade ZMax. I went home there. Let's go into Twitter. Into Blade ZMax. Let's go into Periscope. So in this ordinarily opening apps, this ZMax 1 is not much slower, to be honest with you, you know, in just opening these apps. Now, where I see the biggest is going to be gaming right here. Of course, you're going to see probably the Blade ZMax take off and leave. But then again, I could be wrong. So yeah, Blade ZMax took it. It's still trying to load up here on the ZMax 1. And already ready to play here, ready to go. Still waiting to load here. This is where you can see the biggest problem with that 210 processor is in the gaming department. Let's go back home here, and we'll go ahead and open up Subway Surfer. So, like I said, not the most scientific test in the world. Just kind of an idea of, you know, the difference between a 1.1 and a 1.4 from a quad core to an octa-core with the same RAM from the same manufacturer. And as you see right here, both of them are loading up on Subway Surfer, but the Blade ZMax took it. And we are still waiting and waiting and waiting here on the ZMax 1. So, you know, there you go. I mean, it is what it is. Let's go into Dead Trigger. There'll be no RAM management test because, you know, is what it is. Took a little bit there for them both to start up there on Dead Trigger. So it did open up first on the Blade ZMax, and right behind it was the ZMax 1. So honestly, you know, for this ordinary everyday task, I mean, The 1.1 quad core 210 is going to do okay. If you run it heavy or want to play any kind of like heavy type gaming or anything of that sort, that's where you're going to have the biggest problem. Trying to do a lot of ramming or a lot of opening up apps in the background, a lot of apps open, a lot of multitasking. You're going to see the biggest issue here on the ZTE ZMax 1 because of that weak processor. But for everyday basic usage, honestly, it's pretty close to the octa-core 435. I mean, you're seeing like a half a second to a second difference. I mean, I know if you're in a hurry and you're busy, you know, like that might make a difference when you push an app and it don't do anything, or you go to this, don't do anything. But this right here, this phone here will of course take heavier, you know, more power using than of course this phone right here will, because of the processor that it is doing. But honestly, it's not bad compared to the Blade ZMax. So I know this was very scattered, and I know this wasn't a very scientific test or whatever you want to call it. However, I did want to do this little test here just to show y'all the difference between the two processors from ZTE. So if this was helpful and informative in any way, hit that like button. Any questions you may have, leave it below. Subscribe if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. Y'all have a good one, and thanks for watching.